Welcome to the Working with Wildlife podcast. If you love wildlife and want to make a difference, you are in the right place. Check this out.
Having snakes around directly impacts our society. If we have less snakes, our produce is going to go down. Our prices will go up, if you think about it, because we're not going to have enough to supply the demand. And I mean, that's pretty serious if you think about it, if you put it into perspective, especially we're already missing out on feeding up to 200 million people because of crop damage. And now you want to increase those numbers. But I look and she's pointing at me. I'm like, why are you pointing at me? And she goes, no, look above you. Go like this. And the puffet is sitting right here on the front of the palm tree, just dead silent, just sitting, catching a bit of sun. Goodness, dude. I can't explain to you the humor and fear that I felt in that exact moment. And when they bite, they don't clamp down on you like that, inject the venom. They actually slash you like that. And that's enough to be fatal to you. So it's a very scary snake to work with. Idea is, if I can encourage people to start really having a different perspective, as I like to say, go from fear to fascination.
Often when someone sees a snake, they run in the other direction. Well, today's guest does the complete opposite. As a young snake catcher from South Africa, he deals with the deadly on the daily, and he is passionate about changing the perspective of the clients that he has, as well as those that follow him on social media and those around the world. He is passionate about changing people's perspectives and reducing fear and promoting coexistence. Please welcome to the show, Marik Kilian.
Start off with saying thanks for coming on to the show. We've already started
it's
chatting
fantastic.
about like some really interesting stuff. I didn't even realize that there's something called load shedding. It's absolutely amazing. But yeah, thanks for coming on the show, man. Really appreciate it. Today, we're going to be talking about snake catching in South Africa. You are a professional snake catcher. You do videos online showing people, teaching people about the snakes and other wildlife that are found in your area. So what's going on? You work with wildlife. I kind of just told everyone what you do for work, but expand. You're a snake catcher. What does that mean? What does that mean to you?
Well, my persona, or if you want to call it an alter ego, my online alter ego is Wild Marik, and I pretty much work with most people's nightmares. I catch snakes, or I prefer to say I rescue them, because people, obviously South Africa is such a jungle, actually, even in the cities. Like, we have very nicely developed cities, but it's so well integrated in our natural ecosystems, and we have these beautiful wilderness type of veins that kind of cross through our cities and stuff.
Wow.
And that obviously has led to quite a large increase of human and snake encountering each other like that on quite a regular basis. So people are like, listen, please help. There's a snake here. I'm worried about my dogs. I'm worried about my kid. It's in my room. It's in my kitchen. It's on my fridge, in the toilet. You never know where it is. And then I'll go out there and I'll gently, safely remove the snake, move it a certain distance. And what I started doing is, obviously, you see my videos. I actually have my fiance. She's the cameraman, the lady behind the camera, and she films all my videos. Amazing. And I'd like to take a moment to just hold the snake and be like, this guy's is so and so snake, and they seem scary, they're terrifying to many people, but they're so important. And I like to go through why they're important and how to identify them, if there's something about that, or maybe they have a unique defense mechanism that's worth talking about, or whatever the case is. And then take my video, let them go on their merry way, and then catch the next one.
Like with the structure of the cities, I don't know if you know much about that, but you kind of said that's very well integrated. How with nature and these veins kind of running through your cities. How does that kind of work? Like ecosystem wise, design wise, has this always been is this kind of like an approach that just a small portion of South Africa has, or is this like a large plan? Because personally, for myself, I wouldn't say that our cities here in Australia, I'll say Brisbane, in southeast Queensland, the cities that I'm used to and have been to, there isn't like a strong wildlife corridor. There's nature parks, there's trees, there's creek lines that maybe run through, but it's nothing super intense. But you're saying that's like a jungle still. So what is kind of the system like in that sense?
Yeah, so I'll try my best to kind of describe it in a way that you can visually understand it. But just say, for instance, if I look up my window here, I'll send you a picture later so you can see what I mean. I've got a normal field, normal park, the whole suburb's full of trees everywhere. And if I want to walk from these trees to my neighboring suburb, I'd probably walk about 3 kilometers through wildlife, bush, and all that kind of stuff. And this, think of like a little square here. We got our little city. This piece of vein goes all the way through everywhere. And obviously it expands to different shapes and all that. And all our buildings and suburbs are built in between all of it. So it's quite nice. And obviously all the way surrounded around the city is also wildlife. And then we have the next part of our city, and it's all kind of scattered and stuff like that. There's obviously roads that go through it all, and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
My particular city is called Cobra, or Port Elizabeth is also what it's known as. And it's quite a flat city, but it's got these large, somewhat like ravines that drop down like this to these rivers. Okay. And that's what the city's named after. We have a river known as Cobra, and that's what is named after through there.
Goes through.
And it's like these veins is what I like to refer to it as, that just travels throughout the whole city. So that's my best way that I can describe it. And then obviously on our coast, we have our very unique coastal fynbos, which is only found from here through to Cape Town, which is just super special because it's found nowhere else in the world.
Okay, and tell me more about this coastal forest, what it sounds like.
Yeah, so fynbos is Afrikaans for fine bush. So it's these leaves that are super fine, very thin, and there's lots of different species. And typically fynbos only grows to probably about the height of your knee to your hip. So it's quite a low biome. It's very dense, full of life. It's if you ever want to look for snakes, fynbos is the way. If you want to find caracal, if you want to find any kind of other cool wildlife, fynbos is an excellent place to start, and it's actually really beautiful. I mean, if you go to Cape Town, many people have seen it. The fynbos, you get the montane fynbos. It covers the whole of Cape Town, Table Mountain, all the mountains, all those kinds of places like that. So anyone who's been to South Africa or seen pictures of it, they can kind of visually understand what I mean. Then we have our national flower, the proteas that grow in this fynbos. And it's really cool. And obviously, because it's only found in South Africa, that's where our national flower is obviously known as. It all comes from that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, fynbos. How do you say that? How do you spell that? Sorry.
It's FYNBOS. So it's like
fynbos.
You would say fine, but because of the Y, you kind of drop that sound a bit. It's like fein. If that makes sense. So fein, and then you say, and then you emphasize the bos, like fynbos.
Boss.
Because Afrikaans is a very emphasizing language. They're very proud of everything they want to say. So it's fynbos, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah, total sense. That's awesome. I haven't seen photos, but I'm going to be looking up photos. We're going to be seeing afterwards for sure about this.
You will definitely see it in my videos as well. In the
well then that
stuff.
might be. I think I maybe have got some images in my head from seeing some of your videos, some of your content, and so you live close to this fynbos.
Yeah, absolutely.
To these grasses, you live very close.
If I drive 10 k's down the road, it's right there.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. You said it's a really good place for finding snakes as well. Like it's just brilliant habitat.
Especially. Most of my Cape Cobra call-outs are along these fynbos biomes and stuff like that. Puffers love it as well. There's definitely species of snakes that prefer it over our more inland, or in our cities, we don't really have that fynbos. We have more of like a type of thicket, which is a little different, obviously. And obviously snakes prefer this and that and all that kind of stuff. As it will be the same in Australia and all over the world.
Yeah, okay. And so snake catching, you find a lot of different species there. What's it? What is it like being a snake catcher? So, are you on call all the time? How do you manage your life being a snake catcher?
It's actually very difficult. I'm not going to lie. Especially because there's no organization that pays you to do it. Every snake rescue I do comes out of my own pocket. I have to pay for everything. I have to pay to go catch the snake, pay for the petrol. So everything is voluntary. It leaves a heavy dent in your wallet. And then in terms of time, it's very difficult because obviously you got to work to afford to do this. And then sometimes you call it very odd hours and times and stuff like that. And you have to go and catch the snake. Sometimes you can't catch the snake. And that's always sad because South Africa it's the rainbow nation. There's lots of different races here of people, even though I like to refer to everyone as the human race. The thing is, the other races don't like snakes. They always kill them if you can't come out. And that's really sad. And
that's tough.
Even our Afrikaan, we call them the Boere, which are the Afrikaans men. They're also not very big fans of snakes like that, unless they're on the farms and stuff like that. Then they're a bit more in tune to nature around them and stuff. But in the cities, it's a lot worse. Okay. So that always adds a bit of a sense of stress because if you do something like this. Yeah. Also, like you don't want you're putting all this effort to rescue these animals, and then when you can't make it, you almost guarantee that they're not going to make it. You know, they're going to hurt the snake or they're going to cause it harm and stuff, and it's always so difficult.
Right. Okay. So it's very much so. If you don't get there, the snake's life is under threat. Like that's pretty solid, pretty definite.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I mean, even when we do get called out and we get there and they've killed the snake as well, which is also very sad.
Yeah. How do you go about handling those situations?
I mean, I've got a nice bat in the car. No, I'm just joking. It's never easy. It's never easy going through that. But not to sound very egotistical or anything, but I do have a very good way of getting through to people when I talk to them. And I gently explain to them, listen, I know they're scary. I know it's a difficult situation to be in and all that, but listen, I'm right around the corner. Just give me a call. I'll come and catch the snake for you. You don't have to hurt the snake. Also remember that if you are close enough to hurt the snake, you're close enough to be bitten by the snake. And, you know, I have a way to go through it. And right now, I can't really replicate that exact situation, so I'm not going to word it exactly the same as I would then in the moment. But in the moments, I've always impressed myself afterwards with how I've handled it. And later on, they do call me and they don't kill the snake, and I get there. And then over the years, they actually put the snake in a bucket for me, and I just go fetch the bucket. Like, so it does happen.
Well done.
It takes time. It takes time.
Yeah. So you said over the years. So how long have you been doing snake catching for?
Wow. That's a very difficult question. I mean, I've always been into snakes since I was like, probably before I could walk. I probably started slithering before I walked, honestly. I've always loved snakes, and just growing up, always being around snakes. So the minute I turned 18, I got the permit and everything like that to do it legally. And also, you don't want to handle a venomous snake if you're not 18. There's a lot of regulations and laws to it and stuff like that, for good reason, obviously. Also because in South Africa, you can only get your driver's license when you're 18. So there's no point in becoming a permitted snake catcher if you can't drive, unless it's down the road and you can run. So I mean, now it's 2018 to 2025. So
about 6 years. 7 years. 6-7 years. Amazing. And so I'm interested because I think that obviously there's that tension. You have a quote unquote job, even though it's more like a volunteer kind of position. Snake catchers exist because there's that tension between animals and people. That coexisting isn't really coexisting. So how do you suggest that people coexist with wildlife? Obviously, a lot of people that listen to this podcast already like wildlife, and so with that in mind, what would you suggest to people in regards to a way to explain a situation, whether that be with empathy and understanding or whatever else, how else you would frame it? How do you explain properly because you said over the years that a person has gone from freaking out, killing the snake, to then actually catching the snake kind of for you and putting it in a bucket and allowing you to catch it. So obviously there's a way that you've been able to present the information in such a way that's been impactful to them and how they relate to snakes. So how would you suggest like a good way to express like this kind of information to a person?
Yeah. So the first thing I could really point out is that you will never change their mind in one sentence. You've got to have the patience to work with the people. You must understand, I believe that snakes are in the top 5 most feared things, like out of all things, not even just animals in the world, you know. It's so just understanding that snakes are absolutely terrifying to a lot of people, is the first step, obviously. And then you got to understand, okay, if I was scared of something, how would I go about changing that fear for myself? And then translating that over to the person in front of you. And you know for a fact it will never happen like this. As I said, it takes years. It's always taken years. Same with my videos. I've seen people who like my videos, and then they don't follow, and then my videos will keep on popping up on their feed, obviously, because that's what Instagram does. If you've watched the whole video and liked it, the algorithm's gonna push more of that to you, and then next thing they follow, and then after weeks of just liking the stuff, and then they send you a DM. It's like, wow, your videos have really changed my mind, and this and that. And it's encouraged me to do a snake awareness course or things like that. No matter what you say, it will never happen then and there to change that person's perspective. You got to understand it's going to take time. You've got to really commit yourself to that person. And the reality is that many snake catchers do not have that patience with people. They don't even have that patience with themselves. Obviously, I'm not saying that about every snake catcher and all that, but
of course, no.
To be realistic, people don't really, they're just there to catch a snake because they love snakes and stuff. And if they can say something nice and maybe change just a little bit in their mind, that's great, you know. But if I were to try and do it in one conversation, like right now, number one, it's almost impossible. But my first thing would be like, listen, do you like cereal? You eat cereal?
Yes. So,
do you like bread?
Yes.
You know, fast food.
Yes.
You like some burger buns and that. Do you enjoy vegetables? Most people don't, but there's some vegetable that you like. You can't deny that. You point out, do you like pizza? I mean, who doesn't like pizza? Am I right? Yeah. Now, rodents destroy over 30% of our annual crop every year. Well, annual crop, I said it there. So by killing and harming these snakes and taking them away the whole time, you are encouraging that damage. And on top of that, that 30% is enough to feed over 200 million people. So the importance of having snakes there to reduce that damage, to reduce that damage, and to, I don't want to say this. Having the snakes there, number one, it brings down that damage. So the farmers will have more produce. They will make more profit and all that kind of stuff. It benefits them. We feed more society. So having snakes around directly impacts our society. If we have less snakes, our produce is going to go down. Our prices will go up, if you think about it, because we're not going to have enough to supply the demand, you know. And I mean, that's pretty serious if you think about it, if you put it into perspective, especially we're already missing out on feeding up to 200 million people because of crop damage. And now you want to increase those numbers and increase those numbers. You know, it's difficult. It's dangerous.
So killing snakes causes inflation.
It can, absolutely. It can cause inflation. It can directly change that cost of how much it costs to put that food on your table and stuff like that. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. I mean, you go to Australia, you got your brown snakes, your mulgars, your red belly, keelback, red bellies, and all that kind of stuff. And they all eat rodents, you know. And also there are snakes that have different roles. Some snakes eat other snakes. And they're there to make sure that we don't have too many snakes, that we don't have, now that we just don't have any more rodents anymore because the snakes ate all the Romans. Nature set everything into such a fine balance, and it has to work this way. And we as humans, whether we like it or not, they are more important for our ecosystems than we are to the ecosystem. And we need to start learning to respect that. So what I, in those moments, like to encourage is, first of all, just really think about when you encounter a snake. If anyone you see that's taken a picture of a snake, send it to me. I will identify the snake. I will tell you a bit about the snake, something interesting, just to start changing people's perspectives on the snake so that they get excited when they see a snake now to take that picture so they can learn something. You know, there's something behind what's out there, you know. And
so building kind of connection with people.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly. So like I said, I first try to break down the more factual things, and then I like to kind of put in a little bit of a game there for them, you know, so that it makes it a bit more interesting for them. Because now they already understand the facts, but it's not going to change their fear. But now the game's coming now. So first you change the mind, then you change the emotion towards it, if that makes sense. Especially if they have kids, fantastic. Like I would love working with kids. I love teaching them about the wildlife and stuff around us and stuff. And what's really nice is here in my town, there's a guy named Mark Marshall. He's kind of a mentor here for me and everyone. And he's running this Sandula Kids program. And I always suggest, like, send your kids over there. And he goes to the schools and he'll take out all the critters. He'll take out insects and lizards and snakes like that. And he'll teach them about it. And he's really good at it. And then apart from that, if I can get them into any kind of awareness program or anything like that, we have African Snakebite Institute and they travel all over South Africa. So you just have to sit on your couch and wait for the month that they come to your city, and then go and do the course, and it will change your mind, you know.
So you don't just go to a snake catching job. You're going there and you're also bringing in some heart. You're not just there for a job, you're also there for the person, is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. Look, it doesn't matter how many snakes you save and all that, if you're not changing the people's minds, you know, because you will always be catching snakes if you can't teach people how to be around them, why they're important and stuff like that. Because otherwise you won't have snakes to save, because they're just going to kill it or this or that. I hope I'm making sense here, but the idea is, if I can encourage people to start really having a different perspective, as I like to say, go from fear to fascination. I absolutely love, like, just giving them a bit of the facts about it, and then just changing the emotion towards it. That's the biggest key in my mind. And what's really nice is we have a lot of non-venomous snakes. I mean, in my town, we have 5 highly venomous snakes: the Cape Cobra, the puff adder, the runkels, which I'm very well known for at this point, the boomslang, and we have a nice adder on the mountain called the berg adder. Those are our 5 venomous snakes. And then we do have the night adder, but it's only really dangerous to, like, a cat or a dog, and might cause a little bit of pain to a baby. So it's nothing too dangerous, but the rest are all non-venomous, and that's about another 20 different species just in the city.
Wow.
And I can take them out, and I can just tell them about the snake and say, okay, so watch here. This is, you see, he's not trying to hurt me, but now if I do this, now watch how his behavior changes, watch how he's reacting and stuff like that. And it's easier to bring that fascination forward there when you do that. Now they're not like, now they're like, ooh, that's quite cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they got like someone who's like kind of there and helping out. Yeah,
exactly that. It's just to change the perspective. As I say, fear to fascination.
Yeah, fear to fascination. I love that, Marik. I do. And so with this snake catching, past 6 years professionally, whole life I've been really just interested in snakes. What are 2 top stories through your years of experience that kind of like, wow, that's cool. We talking, is there a rare snake you found? Is there a tough situation? Did you almost die? Did someone else almost die? Did someone sit in the toilet and get bitten when they were trying to focus elsewhere? Like, what comes to mind when you're thinking 2 stories?
Okay, we could do a somewhat funny one, and then we could do a more intense one, like probably one of my most difficult ones. Which one do you want first, the intense or the funny?
Let's go with the funny.
All right, so here in Port Elizabeth, we're surrounded by we call it here locally as dorpies, which are little towns. So they're not entirely the size of a city. They're smaller. And they're generally surrounded by farmlands and stuff like that. Now, there's a place out here called Uitenhage, which is a little dorpy just outside of Port Elizabeth. But now there's no local snake catchers. And for me to get from here to there is almost a whole hour's drive. So, and none of the snake catchers wanted to go there. And this lady kept on complaining that she's got this puff at her that's been living by her Wendy house. So the problem is we don't really go out to go and catch a snake if we can't see it, if they're not watching it, because you're going to get there and it's going to be gone anyway, and it's coming out of your own pocket and stuff like that. So it becomes very difficult. So I told her, listen, puffers are creatures of habit. Just let me know. Does he come back? And I run through this checklist to say, what times does the snake come out? Where does he like to sit? Does he come out there every day? Like just basic things to kind of track the snake. And over a period of a week, the snake was pretty consistent. So I was like, okay, cool. We can come and get him because now also it's my own money to drive out there. It's 2 hours, there and back. So
massive.
I go out there and I actually go out with another snake catcher. Now we get there and the yard's not very massive. There's a big Wendy house. Wendy house will probably be about 3 meters by 3 meters. So it's a decent sized Wendy house.
What is it? What's a Wendy house?
Okay, so a Wendy house is like a little shack that you put in your back garden, like a wooden miniature house version that you put garden tools and things like that inside. We refer to them as Wendy houses. I absolutely have no idea.
No idea. All right. Okay, so we're at the Wendy house. You got a small Wendy house.
Yeah. And this Wendy house is situated on these bricks, like perfect 2 rows of bricks all the way around, and it's just been popped onto it. Now we're like, okay, this snake is under there because she last saw it at the back of the Wendy house, between the Wendy house and the wall. There's this gap right here, and there's loads of rubbish, like pipes and all sorts of just usual dump, I guess. And I'm searching everywhere, and now puffers are one of the scariest snakes to remove. It doesn't matter how good you are; they are so scary because they are almost impossible to predict because number one, it's difficult to find them because they have the incredible camouflage. And it doesn't matter how many videos you've watched. I mean, you will never get used to how good they camouflage. I mean, I've walked in the field and the next thing is one day 50 centimeters in front of me and it feels like you walk into a wall because you just stop so hard. Like they are so good at camouflaging. Number two, they call the puff at her, but they very rarely puff. So you never know how close you are to them. It's only when they're really out in the open and they have nowhere else to go that they start puffing. If they sit in camouflage, they're dead silent. You do not hear them. And now we have to go between this small little gap, but this big, trying to dig up everything, looking for the snake. And I searched everywhere under the Wendy house. And in the corner of the yard, there's this palm tree that goes up like that. And I'm looking everywhere. I'm doing circles around this tree, looking under the Wendy house, doing circles around the tree again because there's all these bushes and stuff. You could easily be camouflaging the bushes because it's right next to the Wendy house, but it's in the corner. And I'm standing under the tree now and I'm looking down and the lady there, she's like, there it is. And she's like pointing. But I look and she's pointing at me. I'm like, why are you pointing at me? And she goes, no, look above you. We go like this. And the puffet is sitting right here. On the front of the palm tree, just dead silent, just sitting, catching the bit of sun. Goodness, dude, I can't explain to you the humor and fear that I felt in that exact moment. It was a really intoxicating mix. Like it was amazing. It was absolutely incredible. But now to get that snake out of the tree was terrible.
They climb?
So yeah, they climb. Super good climbers, very good climbers.
Right. Okay. So,
they climb over
good climbers,
brick walls, up trees, everything. They're incredibly good climbers.
Okay. So, all right. So but tough. Next part, tough to get down.
Yeah. The thing is, the palm trees, they're always covered in these little thorns and stuff like that go up along the stems or the fronds that go out. I think it was a Chinese fan palm for those who are interested in their plants. And also the base of the tree isn't just simple and round. It's got these old, because obviously as they grow and then it dies, and then you get left with these like nodes that kind of stick out.
Palm frond
and he
nodes,
wraps in and around, and you try to pull him out, and you're getting scratched up and everything. But yeah, that was to me, it was very funny, because obviously, like, what are the chances you look for? And we were looking for about an hour. It wasn't a short trip. Like, we were looking for a long time. And the whole time, he must have just been there watching us, checking us out.
These guys
so it was quite funny.
That's great. Then, okay, so you survived. That's great. So close. Highly venomous animal right near your head. That's exciting. And then you said you've got a serious one.
Yeah, so there was this company that I'm not allowed to mention their name, because they wanted me to keep it confidential, because they don't want their customers knowing that there was a big snake there. But they sell and they manufacture these metal crates, and they stack them in their yard. And these crates can open up, and I'm not 100% sure what they're used for, but they saw a snake all the way at the top. And they showed me a picture of it, and I knew instantly that it was a boomslang. Now, boomslang is our most venomous snake in all of Africa in terms of toxicity. So they need the least amount of venom to kill us. Black mambas sure are more dangerous, because their venom's faster acting. It attacks it affects our lungs really quickly, so our lungs stop, and we kind of die from not breathing, asphyxiation, if you want to call it. But the boomslang, obviously, like, just to put it in perspective, like a black mamba needs about 5 to 10 milligrams of venom to be fatal enough to actually unalive a human. A boomslang only needs 0.07 milligrams. So it's 0.07 milligrams. So it is incredibly toxic. And a boomslang, they're rear-fanged. A lot of people think that the fang, when it's rear fang, it sits all the way back of the mouth, but it actually sits directly under their eye. It just means it's not set in the front. And their venom glands aren't the same as most snakes. They don't have those hypodermic needle fangs that just inject and push the venom through. In fact, they have these typically 2 to 3 enlarged teeth just sitting under there that act as the fangs, and their mouth is full of venom all the time. And when they bite, they don't clamp down on you like that, inject the venom. They actually slash you like that, and that's enough to be fatal to you. So it's a very scary snake to work with. They're incredibly strong. If you pick a boomslang up by the tail like this, it can just easily pick itself up right to your hand without having to climb on itself and bite you like that. You know, whereas if you grab a cobra and stuff, they can whip around and stuff, they can almost reach you, but they don't have the strength to get back up there. But if you hold a boomslang like that, you'll climb right up. And on top of that, they always do this thing where they wrap their tail around your hand and they pull themselves right up. So one of the first things when it comes to handling a boomslang is you never let that tail wrap around you. Because it doesn't matter if you've got the hook on. If they pull off that hook, they go straight to where their tail is, and that's your hand. And like I said, they have the strength to pick themselves up slowly. Imagine how quickly they pull back now if they wanted to, you know. So it's very difficult. And now the snake was about 3-4 meters up in those crates, deep in there. And I don't use tongs because tongs can be quite dangerous to snakes if you don't know how to use them. And also in a situation like that, it's just too difficult. I can't ensure that I don't squeeze hard and stuff like that because I'm in a difficult situation. So I climbed all the way up and I'm holding on the edge like this. And I look, and as I look, her face is right here, and she opened up her mouth. I quickly ducked down, moved my hands down as quickly as possible. I was like, okay. Yeah. I found her, and which is really nice because I was surrounded by like 20 workers, and they found these metal poles, and they shoved them between the crates, and they put a wooden pallet on there, and I stood on the wooden pallet. And now I had to try and hook her out. But that was only about 10 minutes after like holding on and trying to move around and catch the snake. So like you can imagine, like my hands are getting weak, my arms are getting tired, like everything's shaking, the adrenaline's going mad, you know. It was incredibly difficult. And I eventually got hold of her, and in the pallet she can go down, and she managed to wrap through all the way down. If I let go of her then and there, she would have been gone. And they wanted to kill the snake. They desperately wanted to kill it, but they just couldn't get to it. So that's why they called me. So now I was like, I'm not going to let the snake go because I don't want them to kill it. And also, like in that moment, it's like you really have to calculate everything you do now at this point, because now you're dealing with a highly venomous snake. You're in a very difficult position, and obviously you don't want the snake to get away. So now I'm trying to think, okay, my bucket's 3 meters down on the floor. I can't just pull it out here and drop it into the bucket. It's going to bounce out. It's a boomslang. I mean, the snake's already about 1.6 meters long. So now, eventually I managed to climb all the way around to the side of the pallet, and they have this mesh stitching all the way down the sides, which they use on the sides to kind of pull all the pallets together. And I kind of see where her body goes down. And I took the hook stick and we managed to cut the mesh a bit, or rip it, should I say. You can't really cut it with a hook stick. Then I had to make sure, see where her head is, try grab this part of the body, let go up here, and then slowly start going like this. But now she's so clamped in there. But luckily, I always have 2 hook sticks. Take the one hook stick in, and I kind of wedged it to lift it up. And I managed to eventually get it all the way out like that. And now I had to figure out how to grab the other hook stick, hook her, and get her into the bucket while I'm still 3-4 meters in the air, It was probably my most difficult snake call out. And right now, the story went past in maybe 5 to 10 minutes, but that whole situation was about 2 hours. It was a very grueling experience. Probably one of the most scared I've ever been during a call out, because I know one mistake and I'm bitten. And the scary part right now is there's no anti-venom in South Africa for our snakes at the moment. There's a huge anti-venom shortage. And that's always sitting at the back of your head. And with a boomslang, you can't use alternative anti-venoms. There's a specific anti-venom made for the boomslang called monovalent anti-venom. And apparently there's about 10 vials left in South Africa. And you can't treat a boomslang bite without that antivenom. You will die. It's just the way it is. That doesn't matter. They've tried blood transfusions. They've tried everything. If you do not have the antivenom, you're gone.
You're cooked.
So sitting with that in the back of my head, and it's a very expensive bite. And all my money's gone into snake rescues. I can't afford to be bitten, So, I managed to get through the... No, I did not get paid.
They didn't pay you at the end of that?
No, I got the snake free. The snake, she was full of eggs, relocated her a decent distance and let her off into a somewhat similar habitat. And hopefully she's laid some good babies out there. But no, I managed to at least not wet myself in the moment, so that was okay.
I can't believe they didn't pay you. That's full on. So so is there any chance that that's going to change in the legislation at all? Are you or that it's a requirement?
There are people working on it.
There are people working on it. Okay, so people working on it legislatively, but then also for yourself, is it something that you... How do you support yourself, I guess, during that? How do you support yourself whilst being a snake catcher?
Well, previously, obviously, like I just finished my contracted working as a videographer. And when you work as a videographer and editor and stuff, you have a bit more lenience on your time. So, and it was paying me really well for what I was doing. So I could afford it pretty well, which is all right. But now what I'm going to be doing is I have tried charging people. I'm sure there's people listening right now and be like, well, why don't you just charge? Like, you can charge for your time. The problem is people say they'll kill the snake for free. And there's people that defend and say, yeah, they don't do that. They called you in the first place. They're too scared. It's not true. They do kill them. Especially here, they just shoot them. They chop them in half. It's very sad. It's very unfortunate. I mean, also, there are people here that do charge, but they charge too much. And to me, in my opinion, that's exploitation of the animal to make the income. And there's this guy around here, I'm not going to mention names, but he really gets on my nerve because he's gone out to catch a snake and the people can't pay him his price. So he just tips the bucket open and leaves the snake in the yard and drives off. And that drives me mad. I'm not an aggressive person. I'm not an aggressive person, but he makes me crave violence sometimes, I must say.
Yeah. Okay. And how much does he charge?
So here it's no. He charges 350 rand, which is about, I'd say about $16, maybe $18. So it might not sound like a lot, but over here it's a lot. I mean, some people only earn that much in a week.
Wow.
Because you must remember, South Africa is a third world country. We are a lot poorer here. Our salaries are a lot less. And obviously our everything else is still first world price. So it is difficult being down here, especially for a lot of people. And we have places out here called locations where it's people that can't afford housing and stuff like that. And it's just pretty much a huge gathering of people where they've just built their houses out of whatever's around and stuff like that. And it's everywhere you go in South Africa, you'll see one. It's impossible to not see it. Every city has one. And I mean, they can't even, they had to build their house. Do you really think they're going to afford to remove the snake, at that price?
Yeah.
There obviously are people who are much wealthier, and they always contribute. I have a business card, and at the back of the business card, I have a section where people can donate, and people do donate. People mainly actually donate to me via my YouTube and my Instagram videos. They ask me for my details and they send me money to assist me with it, which is awesome. Great. And I said, when we were speaking yesterday, I have my own line of merchandise coming out. So I've been building the website and stuff like that. So hopefully the goal is I want to use that as a means to fund these rescues. And also I do reptile talks, snake awareness talks and stuff like that for hiking clubs, or I've done it for emergency rescue services and all sorts of stuff like that, medical services and all that, teaching them what to do in the case of a snake bite, specifically for our venomous snakes here in Port Elizabeth. Yeah. Because South Africa's got a lot of snakes.
I want to hear about that, but continue with what you're saying, yes.
Yeah, South Africa's got a lot of snakes. In South Africa, we have over 180 species of different snakes. And if I had to go out and teach people about every single one of the species, it's too much. So what I like to do is I will tell you everything about your venomous snakes right there in your town, in your vicinity, if I can call it that, your living area. And I'll teach you how to identify them. I don't worry about the non-venomous ones. If you know it's not one of those venomous ones, it's a non-venomous one. So I teach them everything about that. And I teach them what to do in the case of if you're bitten by this specific snake. I tell them which one you wrap with the bandage, for first aid, and I teach them which ones you don't wrap. In South Africa, we have a lot of cytotoxic snakes, whereas in Australia, a lot of the snakes in Australia are very neurotoxic. So in most cases, a first aid in Australia would be to bandage most of the bites to obviously restrict. Exactly. In South Africa, a lot of our snakes are cytotoxic. So if you use compression, you're keeping all that venom localized here, which is almost going to guarantee a greater effect of necrosis and stuff in that local area. So we avoid. So it's very important to teach people the difference between them. And thankfully,
should you suck out the venom?
Never suck out the venom. I've heard some very interesting stories about that. And we have these people here called, this is actually, I'm going to digress a little bit to explain this, but we have these cultural women here who are known as sangomas. They're like I think a good equivalent would be a witch doctor. And they're often known for cutting just under and around snake bites and putting activated charcoal in there and stuff like that. And that always causes very bad symptoms, even for just mildly venomous snakes. So out here, there's a lot of conspiracy, a lot of, what's the other word that I want to think of? Superstition of how snakes should be treated and why you saw the snake and things like that. So that does make it very difficult to change their mind and to tell them this is the only way you must treat a snake bite is very difficult, especially when they've grown up their whole life, been taught to do this and do that by their culture and stuff like that. It can make it difficult.
Yeah.
But most of the time, you do get the point across, and it does make a difference. And like I said, I like teaching kids about our wildlife. I like teaching people my age about these snakes, and even the older ones, like actual professionals. Sorry, I do another thing to make a little bit of money, which is called a property inspection. So I'll go to someone's place and I'll say, listen, this is what's attracting the snakes to your yard. This is what you should do. This is what you do in the case of a snake encountering a snake on your yard and stuff like that. Specifically cater to where they are, what's around them and stuff like that. And we have lots of different snake catchers in our area, and I'll tell them, call this one because he's the closest to you, or whatever the case is. So that does help a lot. And obviously it's a nice way where you can teach people about the snake, because a lot of people down here love to believe in snake repellents, like certain bushes repel snakes, certain sprays repel snakes. And it's
what's the weirdest one over there?
That's a good question, actually. Well, in my mind,
we get salt. We get they are all weird. Like over here, we get salt. Salt is one.
I think the weirdest one.
I've heard that.
The weirdest one is a fully marketed and branded snake repellent that's sold on the shelves. Like I don't understand where they
like a spray.
Yeah, like an actual spray with snake repellent sticker on it and everything.
No,
to me, in my mind, that's crazy. Because like, how did you?
Have you done a video on that yet?
No. I still want to. I still need to. There's a lot of videos I still need to cover.
Oh, surely that's one of them. That's a crack up. Brilliant. Glad you're going to do that one. Awesome.
No, I've got. It's also like you said. Do you suck the venom out? I still got to do that one as well. But in my previous job, I only had time to work and catch snakes. I didn't have time for my own channel and stuff, which is one of the reasons why I'm not going to be working with them further. It's not because I have anything against them and stuff. They were amazing people. They provided me with a lot of opportunities, and it'll always be one of the funnest jobs of my life. But for me to keep growing I need to start doing things for myself as well, or things that can provide me with the time to work on these other aspects in the end, you know.
And tell me a little bit about like what's going on like with your channel. Like how long you been doing it? What's the vision for this? You like videography wise, you got a great camera. What camera do you use? You've got a great quality setup. It looks like it's been slowly improving over time. But yeah, you've got a great setup and you've got a great videographer as well. So what's going on there with everything I've kind of just said?
I started YouTube maybe two and a half years ago in January, and I actually started with just my cell phone. And the thing is, like, I actually do have photography and videography experience. So growing up, it's quite special because it's one of the moments that really switched my life around. Is when I was about 12, 13 years old, my mom actually bought me a really nice little DSLR. It was the Canon 500D. And back then, that was amazing. It was just secondhand, but that really struck a passion for me. Struck a light towards my passion, should I say? Obviously, we were always inspired by Steve Owen, Austin Stevens, David Attenborough, Steve Backshall. There's loads of different wildlife presenters out there and stuff. And I was always like, I want to be in front of the camera. That's just something I really enjoy doing. And when I got this camera, this camera can't film for to save his life, but it started off as photography, and I just started photographing every snake I saw. And the thing was, my mom had this 3-day rule. If I found a snake, I could keep it for 3 days, and I could learn everything about it. I can learn like every piece of literature that was out there. I spent that time learning about that snake in that 3 days. And eventually, obviously, I photographed and caught every single species in my local area. And then I was like, I know these snakes pretty well. Like, why don't I start doing videos about them? But back then, we didn't have Instagram reels and things like that. So I couldn't say, let me just post them on Instagram. So I used to just start filming myself just randomly to try and figure it out. And I must tell you, I was terrible. I was so bad at it. I was too scared to look at myself in the camera. I'm an insecure teenager, it was hilarious. But then I actually ended up getting work as a photographer during school and stuff like that. Was in my later years of school. And when I was going through school, my parents didn't pay for my school fees. There was a lot of issues between my mom and my dad, and maintenance and finances and stuff like that. It was very difficult. So having that camera gave me a means to make money for myself. And I used to do the photography. I used to work in the bar as well as a barman. And then on top of that, I was actually, I used to do, like we just call it cage fighting, like MMA. I grew up my whole life doing martial arts, and I used to fight for just like small events and stuff like that, which was a load of fun. I absolutely loved it. And you get a little bit of money for it. So I was like, oh, that's cool, which sounds quite weird because I'm generally a very calm, happy person, but I just enjoyed fighting and punching people, I guess. But anyway, so between those things, I actually met a lot of people, and I had friends or just people I met in the bars and stuff that I worked at. And through the photography, I did wedding photography and stuff like that. People who wanted to become models or those, whatever aspect it was, they just started this product that they want to launch, but they don't have any pictures. Like, I'll take pictures for you for your website. I'll take pictures for your portfolio to help you become a model. And then some people would request for a video. And then I did wedding videos. And I started developing the skill back then. But unfortunately, I ended up being a little too far into debt to be in school. And they ended up suspending me because I couldn't pay the school fees. So I actually had to sell all my camera equipment to stay in school, even though I got suspended for a full term. And like in school, our school separated into 4 terms, and between each term is a holiday, if that makes sense. I'm not sure how similar it is across the countries.
It's identical.
I figured. So at the end of that term, I was like, no, I have to sell the camera because it was a nice camera. It was the Nikon D7500, 200mm f2.8. So all the photographers can know it's a decent camera. Sold it, give myself a bit of a bunch of money up front, put it down. I spoke to my principal at the time, and I explained to him what was going on. And he was a full-on businessman, but I'm not sure what happened. But first of all, he told me I should just not come back until the next year because I will fail, which was that was a terrible moment in my life. But I decided, no, I need to finish school, even if I don't get university grades or anything like that. So I must just finish school. Let me just get through school. I can figure life out as I go. So I ended up making a deal with my principal to kind of pay off my school fees. I'll say I can earn this much and I can guarantee you this much every month. But if I can add extra, I will. And then I'll continue to pay that over until that period is finished, And at that time I was 20,000 Rand in debt, which is about $1,200, I think. Somewhere around there, if I've got the conversion correct. I might be a bit off and on because the conversions are always changing, which is a lot of money as a South Africa. I mean, you could buy a car with that price, aren't you?
Yeah, that's big.
So, and then I started having some serious issues actually in my personal life, and I ended up moving out of my house, and I ended up moving in with my fiance so I could put my head down, get through school and stuff without having to deal with all the emotional traumas and things like that were happening in that time of my life. And I spoke to my dad. And it was the first time my dad ever pulled through in my life, and he actually paid my debt. 6 months. I only had 6 months left of school, and he finally paid my school fees, paid the debt off, everything. Yeah, it was quite nice. And then he started giving me. it was an amazing feeling, I must say. But what happened was he started giving me an allowance just to pay for my food and stuff like that, to live where I was staying. And I ended up putting money aside and I bought a camera. It was a Nikon D5200, I believe, with a little, it wasn't a kit lens. It was I think it was a 28 millimeter to 70 or 80 mil. I can't remember exactly. It's quite nice. I started photographing snakes again. And then at some point I was like, I really lost my, how do I say it? I lost momentum on my dreams, if that makes sense. I remember I always wanted to film wildlife and teach people about wildlife. And in the past couple of years, I've done nothing to do that. So I sat and I thought for a bit, and then I started doing research into cameras, specifically for filming what I wanted to do, which is what you currently see on my page now and all that. And I ended up choosing the Sony ZV-1. And specifically because it was the best camera that I could see, in my opinion, for the price range, especially because I believe you had the Sony ZV-E10, which is the one with the lenses. Yes. But these two cameras have a great function called product showcase. So it can track our eyes and everything, which is really nice. But if I wanted to hold something, the camera focuses perfectly onto your hand and locks off your eyes, which is great if you have snakes. So I was like, you know what, that sounds fantastic, and obviously it's got that defocus mode and you've got the blurry backgrounds. I'm like, that sounds like the camera. It's lightweight. I can fit into my pocket, so I'm not a target, because if we live in South Africa, you're going to get mugged if you walk around with a big camera. So I ended up choosing that. Don't walk around with your camera out here. Ended up choosing that camera. It took me a while to save up for it, and I managed to get it for about 5,000 Rand off, actually, which was fantastic. So I only paid about 2/3 of its price, if that makes sense.
Awesome.
And, then I started just trying to learn how to use the camera. And like I said, I was absolutely terrible. But in the meantime, while I was saving up for it, I started my YouTube channel. And I actually started recording on my phone. I had a Huawei P40 Lite. I still have that same phone.
Oh, good.
And I must tell you that the footage, the video quality on that camera is terrible. It's a horrible camera. But I used it to kind of break over those barriers that I obviously set to my mind about filming myself and all that, because everyone's got a barrier in their mind that when they're in front of a camera, it's difficult for them, because they're constantly thinking about, do I look okay? Is this like, what if, you hyper analyze everything. And slowly but surely, those things started fading away. They started breaking out. But the thing was, obviously when you edit weddings and stuff, it's just a song and you're playing a sequence of moments and stuff. But to film and educate people about snakes and stuff, it's very different. You've got to talk to the camera. You've got to show and work with the animal. I had no idea how to do any of that. And the nice thing is, when I started the YouTube page, I started it solely to learn that skill. It wasn't in that moment, I had no goal of reaching 1 million subscribers or anything like that. It was just purely to learn how to be in front of the camera, how to edit, learn different styles of editing and all that. And after about 1.5 years, I got significantly better. Like in that period of doing it, I got a lot better with learning how to script videos, learning how to do everything like that. Yeah.
How old were you at that time in your life?
This was now probably April last year, so it's quite recent.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. At that point where I was like, well, I think I'm getting the hang of this. And then I saw on Facebook, I just see it on Facebook. It was actually my boss at the time. She sent me this Facebook ad. There's this lady whose husband's looking for a videographer for his YouTube page and all that. And I was sitting down and the salary is 3 times better than the one I have now. It's like, why don't... And I was like, apart from the salary, I was like, you know what, this is actually such a good opportunity to develop my skill, because I'm so used to learning and making videos specifically catered to this. And I ended up taking the job, and they loved having me around because I was adventurous. I could handle the environment and stuff. It's a fishing channel. So they're out on the beach in the harsh elements, catching fish and pulling out sharks and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, because I was naturally nature orientated, they really loved it. And what really stood out to me, at least, was they're actually very conscious of what they're doing. They full on into their catch and release. They have all these. I was quite surprised at all the different techniques, and they literally they time, bang. Okay, the shark's out, bang. We have this much time. Grab the photo of the client, this and that, and it's back in the ocean. And they tag the sharks because they track everything. And I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. Like, this is quite interesting. When I think of fishing, you're pulling it out and that's it. The fishes are gone.
Yeah.
They obviously do edible fishing for clients who come from all over the seas. I don't know, everyone wants different things when they come out. Everyone's got their own taste. So eventually we started doing this one video called the Cob Quest. In South Africa, we have the dusky cob, and it gets massive, like 40 kilograms, massive. And
nice.
These clients wanted to come down and they wanted to catch, and it's one of the best tasting fish. It definitely is, because I had some and I was mind blown. But we had this rule where we never ate one that was larger than a certain size, because the big ones, they take so long to grow to that size. And they obviously significantly better breeders than the smaller ones. So it was quite nice with the way they handled it. They only ate I think it was 90 centimeters to a meter. They only ate that size, which is about 12 kilograms. Because the really big ones,
awesome.
They're super important to the environment and stuff like that. Unfortunately, not all fishing companies were big on that, but guys, this is the company I work for is called Divans Fishing Charters. I didn't tell you, but so in this video, we ended up doing this documentary, the Cob Quest, and I've never filmed a documentary before, and I was using his camera because the Sony isn't the best on the beach because it's just going to get damaged. So we ended up using this Canon M50, which is, in my opinion, not a very good video camera from my experience. And anyway, I learned everything as I was going.
Don't get that camera.
Yeah, don't get that camera. And that video that I made for him really changed things around for me. Because now it gave me an idea of how I want to film, how I want to hybridize all these styles. Because I've made vlogs, I've made action-packed videos for myself, I've made all sorts of kinds of content. It's just go and catch a snake kind of video. I tried this one where I had to go catch a night adder, and I tried to do it like a little TV reality show when I'm sitting down talking about that moment, switching between the angles, just learning, that's what my page is for. It's just experimenting, learning how to do it. And now that video really, I think, has locked me in now. And you're going to see over the next year or two, I really want to change everything around. Now I'm going to be more serious about growing my YouTube channel, getting it monetized. Yeah. And the goal with the YouTube channel is not just to obviously help me become financially stable to do this, but I want to use it as a platform to bring people closer to nature. So I would love to find people who are, it doesn't matter what aspect of life they're from, if they're a little micro influencer or a model or a plumber or whatever the case is. I want to take them, and I want to take them with me to, let's say, a reserve where they're doing rhino dehorning for conservation, or they're transporting cheetahs, or doing any kinds of tracking like that. And I want to take these people through that journey, capture the emotion of it, their reactions, like see what they believe beforehand, and see what their whole experience was like afterwards, and all that. And I want to do it with snakes. I want to do it with all kinds of animals and
all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely, I love all animals. I'm really good with snakes. Don't get me wrong, but
we can see.
I have so much alternative experience with other animals as well. I just never filmed it. Never really. It's before the time I was really putting effort into filming it. I mainly film snakes because it's what's most available, because I do the snake rescues. But I've got a lot of friends who are field guides and trackers and conservationists and stuff like that. So I have nice connections. So I need to abuse those connections.
Yeah, you need to use them. But in the friendliest way possible, as I'm sure you will. But that's really cool to have those connections. Yeah, absolutely. And so you've got a bit of a plan moving forwards. You said that it was a bit of a challenging time in your earlier years. We're seeing teens to young adult years is a bit of a challenging time. You said you've loved wildlife since you were a young lad. Kind of, and you still are. I say young lad. You are still a young lad. We are still young lads. So
as we should be.
in over your years, yeah, absolutely. Over these years, what is like what if you look back, what has been, you've kind of given us a couple, and maybe even you want to hone in on one, but like a defining moment so far for you, or that's been so impactful. You said one of those moments was when you did that documentary with that guy. That was pretty pivotal. Looking back, what's another pivotal moment for you where you had to make maybe a decision and it was a tough decision to make, but you're happy looking back, or even if you're not happy looking back at that moment, what comes to mind?
That was probably that point in school where I had to move out and set my life straight without the influence of all the negative aspects that I had around me. It was one of the most difficult times of my life. I mean, it's never easy going through that, because obviously it was my family, that I had to separate from and all that. And that always hurts. Yeah. And I mean, I'm on good terms with them all now, which is great. But in that time period in life, it was very toxic for everyone. And it just, if I never got out of that, I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing now, if that makes sense. I don't think I would have had the opportunity to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's massive.
It sounds crazy when you put it into words, actually, but it is true.
Well, and so you are evidently happy that you made the decision to move out, and the decisions that you made around that. I think that's pretty something that as well, and I guess kudos to you and respect, because you debated with your principal to kind of find a way that you could stay in school. That's some awesome commitment, and debating, is that something you enjoy doing as well?
No, to be honest with you, I'm very good at talking to people and being in front of people, but I'm actually very introverted. And also because I have ADHD, I'm constantly jittering and moving and scratching and fiddling and stuff. So it can be a bit difficult. And obviously there's times where it's really hard for me to concentrate when I'm talking to people and all that. So there are times where it can be very difficult. But when it's been needed the most... When it's been needed the most, I pull through. So that's what counts.
You pull through. Yeah, my man, that's awesome. And so there's a lot's been going on so far. Still a young lad. We've clarified that. How about looking forwards? What does your progression long term look like? Maybe we'll say next 20, 30 years, and then do you see yourself doing this lifelong, or do you have like an end? Kind of last 20 years of your life? Do you have a vision for that? And then what's a vision for the next 20, 30 years as well?
Well,
the first goal as well.
The first goal is to not get bitten by any venomous snakes, so that I can live those 20, 30 years. That will be the first goal. I have a few ideas and plans and visions for myself for my future. And I have alternatives for when certain things do change a bit, because you can't predict the future. You can have goals and you can push and strive as hard as you want for them. But when you get to achieving those goals, it's very different to how you originally envisioned them, So it is a difficult question. But for now, my primary goal is to start becoming financially independent on wild Marik. The Atheris Untamed is what I'm going to name my brand. Atheris is my favorite genus of snake, the African bush vipers. I've always loved them. They're like the dragons. And I don't want to say wild because it's already in my name. And I don't want to say wild Marik because I don't want someone to wear something and it says wild Marik. It's like, oh, you wild Marik. It doesn't make sense. So I said Atheris Untamed because Untamed is synonymous to wild to me. So I kind of went that route with it. So hopefully I can develop a strong enough brand that can make a bit of an impact. Obviously, people who will buy the merchandise will support me and my ability to help rescue animals or generate content to educate people about animals or anything along those lines. And also, like, one thing that was really incredible, and it's also probably one of the pivotal points as well, is during the course when I was working with Duvan's fishing charters, I ended up going to Namibia. I got paid to go to Namibia, which is, it's so cool to get paid to actually travel somewhere. And, but in that time, it always, wow, which is amazing. But in that time, I know there's a certain species of snake out there called the horned adder, Betis cordalis, not the Cerastes. Cerastes is the one from sub-Saharan Africa up that way. And this snake I've seen in books ever since I was a kid. It's always been one of those animals. Sorry, I smacked the earphone out. It's always been one of those animals I've always wanted to see in person. And I'm in the area now. The snake, I'm in its distribution now for the first time because it's not found by me. So I'm like, I have to find the snake while I'm working here. And during that whole time, I ended up finding the dune gecko, which is like a web-footed dune gecko. I've always dreamed of seeing it as well. And when I saw it, I forgot that I actually always wanted to see one of these. And then I found the Namakwa chameleon. I was like, look, I've always wanted to see one of these. And then I found the one scorpion, Parabuthus velocis. I was like, I've always wanted to see one of these, you know? And then I finally found the horned adder. And I spent probably, I think I did almost 200,000 steps that week looking for this snake. And I finally found it. And I filmed everything. It was such an incredible experience. And I was like, no, I know I'm going to make a video about it because I filmed everything. I've got all the footage. I still need to edit the video. I just haven't been able to do it while I was working with Duvan. And I was like, listen, this experience meant so much to me. I don't want to just share it with people. I want people to have something more about it. So I ended up saving a bit of money and I hired a digital artist to make a design based on this experience. And I eventually designed the Skeleton Coast shirt because that was the stretch that we were on in Namibia with my horned adder, the chameleon, the gecko and the scorpion and all that. And I want to put it on a shirt and say, listen, at the end of the video, guys, here's the Skeleton Coast shirt. Like it's got a sentiment to it. It's got a bit more meaning. People who wear it and see in the video, they have, there's more to that story than just wearing a shirt, you know. I was like, why don't I do that more? Like, what if I took someone, say, for instance, to go and help cheetahs, you know, make a design about that, sell that as a shirt and, you know, like just kind of go about doing like creating a bit more connection to the designs. So it's not just a piece of garment, you know, it's got a story behind it and stuff like that. And I was like, I must do that. And then, that's my, let's say, controlled future, should I say that? There's always things that might come along where I'll have an opportunity to maybe pitch a TV show to the right people and make that happen. The one I've always wanted to do, I wanted to call it Wild Awakening. It's a similar concept of taking people, almost like, have you ever seen that show that Bear Grylls did where he took celebrities out into the wilderness to survive with him? I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yeah.
So imagine a similar concept, but instead of surviving for your life, I'm taking people through all these conservational efforts, you know, but like professional production, stuff like that. That's a cool concept I'd like to get out there.
Awesome.
And I'll just be the middleman, you know, just presenting the guests to the right people and just explaining the story, the excitement, what's happening, you know. I feel like I have the personality for it. I don't want to obviously overhype myself and then get let down, but
I'm
pretty confident.
You're a very likable guy, so I think you got to cut.
I appreciate that.
I think it'll work out. Sounds good.
I appreciate that. So
yeah,
that would be nice.
And so
having my own shows.
That's an end goal kind of thing, end show.
Absolutely. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but I'll get on TV for a TV show. So, and I love it. I have featured on TV a few times on our local news channels and our local stations, which has been nice.
Famous, mate. You're famous.
Yeah, everyone knows me. It's actually quite surprising. I didn't realize how much of an impact my videos would have. Now that it's winter, I get only about 500,000 views a month on Instagram. But during summer, I was getting about 2 to 3 million views every month, which it's mind blowing. Wow. I mean, sure, it's not 2 to 3 million views per video, but over that period of month, 3 million people have seen the video you made, that's incredible. And then you walk out on the street, you're like, wow, I see your videos. You're the guy with the snakes, and it's always so nice. Even in my neighborhood, I had a guy pull over from the car. I was like, I see your videos. You're the snake man. So it's really cool.
That's always cool. That's always cool. Yeah.
That's the best. So I need to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a nice, friendly reminder that I am on the right track, if that makes sense, because and when I say I'm on the right track, I don't just mean towards the future and all that. I mean for myself, like the feeling I get in my heart when everyone stops and says, I've seen your videos. I love what you do. You changed my mind about snakes, and people send me messages saying that they've slowly gone from hating snakes to actually being entertained by them and learning about them. Like I can't explain to you the feeling it gives me inside. And that's just one thing that tells me that I know that what I'm doing is the right thing. And if I just keep doing it, all the doors will start opening up.
That's awesome. All the work that you've put into these videos and the preparation, years of experience, kind of the vision where you see things going, and then you're wanting to make an impact. And so you're hearing the success of what you're trying to do from other people. And so I can say it's an amazing feeling. And so what I'd like to do, because as this kind of snake slithers off into the bush, this conversation, if you know what I'm talking about, overrated, underrated, I'd love to play that game with you at the moment. Are you ready to get into some quick fire questions, Marik?
Let's do it.
Overrated, underrated, ball pythons as pets.
Probably overrated. I think they're so diverse out there throughout the pet trade, so probably overrated.
Overrated. Fair. Number 2, overrated, underrated, getting bitten for views.
No, that's overrated. You're chasing the wrong message with that. I hate that. I'm sorry. Heavily overrated.
And is that something that you see over in South Africa by any chance, like with the catches? I don't think it's really happening around here, but that's something that happens?
There's times where I've been bitten by a snake and I catch it on camera and I'll still post it. But I don't go out my way to do it, if that makes sense. But there are people that do it purely for the sensationalism, the views and stuff, but it does present the wrong message. So it's not something I'm 100% about, unless there's a specific message that they're putting behind it that makes sense. But even still, it's not the what, it's how you present it, and that's probably not the how.
Yeah. No, that's very fair. Number 3, overrated, underrated, living off grid for wildlife.
Underrated. Underrated. I lived in a place nearby here called the Pavillons, and I stayed there for 2 months. No electricity, nothing. We had a donkey boiler, which is like a big metal container. You light a fire under there and it's full of water. That's how you make your bath water. And it was just an incredible life. I loved it. And the experiences I had with nature was incredible. I mean, I encountered leopards on the front door. We saw amazing like rock monitors, and water monitors, or the Nile monitors. They're now known Cape coral cobras, berg adders, lizards I've never seen before. There's fish out there that you've never seen before. Like it's a life-changing experience. You got to do it at least for 1 month in your entire life. At least.
What was this? What was this? This camp, this retreat? What was this?
So I actually have. I had friends that lived out there, and they're a bit of a hippie crowd. You know, they're special. But I grew up with them as kids, and I actually did taekwondo with them when I was like 6-7 years old. So we had a good connection out there, and my mom and I. So by the time I turned 18, we already lived in over 32 different houses. And it was in a period where we couldn't find a place to stay while we were transitioning, moving back to the town I'm living in now, Port Elizabeth. And my mom ended up leaving me there for 2 months looking for a place. And it was amazing. I absolutely loved it.
Wow, what an experience. Great. Well, that was really cool. I wish I had hippie friends. I wish I had hippie friends to go out into the bush for 2 months. That sounds amazing. I'm going to go find some after this episode. Number 4, overrated, underrated. Gaiters, or those snake bite deterrent or snake bite proof boots. Those kinds of things. What do you think?
If you're in South Africa, very overrated. We've had parfitters bite through safety boots, steel tip safety boots and stuff like that, and they're covered in hard leather. And those gaiters work with a lot of your lapids and your boomslang and stuff like that. But with the parfitters and stuff like that, for example, you know, those ambush snakes that sit there like that, they have massive fangs. I mean, our parfitter and gaboon adders have the longest fangs in the world, and they are so good at biting. I mean, most of the time when people get bitten by a parfitter barefoot, the fang goes all the way through the hand or all the way through the foot. It comes out both sides. Like, they have incredibly powerful bite force and speed and all that. It's quite scary. I actually have some fangs now. Let me just grab it quick. I'll show you. Yeah, I got some in my little. This is an old dog food container, but I do have some. Yeah?
Oh yeah, the good old dog food containers.
I mean, here we go. So you can see right here. Let's see if you can see it in the light. That's a parfitter fang right there.
Wow.
And I mean, that's massive. Yeah. So I mean, that goes right through, and this does bite through gaiters. And obviously, you probably can't see it right now, but in the front there, you can see the hole where the venom gets excreted through the fang and stuff. So that's quite scary, you know. And it's still on the bone here a bit, as you can see. So it still has the whole hingeability effect amazing. And all that. So quite incredible.
So for the listeners, we're looking at straightened out. That looks just shy of an inch if that was straight and not curved. Would you say?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've got a ruler right next to me. We can measure it. Why not? I've got weird things around me here. Let's see here. So as it is curved, it's 2.5 centimeters. So yeah, just about an inch, maybe even just over. So I don't know if you guys will be able to see it there, but yeah, it's quite impressive. And I'm trying to not measure the bone as well. So
yeah, that's just that. It's amazing.
Quite impressive.
Yeah, that is. And so what's the story behind that tooth?
So there used to be a reptile world here in Port Elizabeth called the Boma, and I was actually good friends with their sons growing up, and they ended up having to close down the business and stuff like that, and that's just from one of the parfitters that they had there that had already lived out its whole lifespan, you know, because they were open for a good couple of years, and the snake was already like 20 years old, so we eventually just kept the teeth.
No, that's so cool, man. That's really neat to have a fang like that. Wow, maybe one day. The final, fifth and final question, Marik. Overrated, underrated TikTok dances.
If it's with snakes, then it's underrated. But other than that, it's overrated.
Cold. Okay. Oh, so are you saying we're going to see some dances coming up, Marik? Is that what you're saying?
I'll dance for you guys. Why not? It won't be pretty, but I'll do it.
Okay, well, keep your eyes peeled for Marik's Instagram and YouTube coming to a screen near you. I guess. Look, Marik, thanks for having this awesome conversation. I just want to ask one more question, just kind of with as a snake catcher professional. What is something that people get wrong about snakes?
Probably everything. It's
everything. But what's one thing that they hear the most? Maybe then.
The problem is with snakes are so misunderstood, but I think the biggest one is that snakes are out to get you. They want to chase you, and that's just not true. Remember in our last conversation, you used a nice word. Snakes are very reactive, which is true. So if you come across a snake and you panic and you're jumping around and screaming and throwing stones at it or trying to hurt the snake's going to show you its ugly side. It's going to defend itself. Snakes don't have arms. They don't have legs. They can't run away as easily as most animals.
As such.
Sorry, my camera just overheated. Can you hear me there?
Oh, I can hear you. Yeah, the camera did overheat, but I can still hear you.
I'll swap. Sorry, you're going to have to do with the desktop from now on.
Sweet. Hey, we got a backup. That's awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah. So snakes aren't out to get you. A lot of people believe snakes are out to get you. It's just not true. Snakes want to live their own lives. They don't really... They're not evil. A lot of media and religion often promotes that more evil side of snakes, but it's just not true. Snakes are simply out there to live their lives. But if you try and mess with them, hurt them, or anything along those lines, the snake is going to react, and it's not going to be pretty. If you're in their area where they feel unsafe that you're there, they will potentially mock charge you to push you out of their area, or they will try and get to a bush behind you. A lot of people misinterpret this for being chased, and then they say they've been chased for like 3 kilometers. Meanwhile, it was maybe 40 centimeters. Let's be real. But when you get scared of these measurements, they change up quite a lot.
They grow.
Yeah,
just like the fish.
Absolutely.
I caught a fish.
Just like the fish.
Just big.
Yeah, no, exactly that. So, if you encounter a snake, first of all, calm down, take a deep breath, take a few steps back, make sure everyone around you, pets, kids, special friends, if you have any, just make sure they're safe and away from the snake. And once the snake feels like you're far enough away from them that you're not a threat, they're going to move off. Some snakes need a greater distance from them than others. Like, so to say, in our case, the runkals will probably sit and stare at you for a good 30 meters. So some snakes you've really got to walk back. Some snakes you just have to walk back 3 meters and they're happy, and then they'll move off. Some snakes will be gone before you even see them. So it just depends. But snakes aren't out to get you. They're going to defend themselves if they feel like they need to. But beyond that, they're not out there to hurt you.
Amazing. All right. And so that's a fantastic final close to the conversation. Marik, if people want to find you, what platforms are you on?
Currently, I'm only on Instagram and YouTube at the moment, because Instagram kept on reporting my videos for dangerous activities. So I'm not on TikTok anymore. I'm sorry about that. But you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at Wild Marik. Yeah, TikTok's a no.
Okay, awesome. So YouTube, Instagram at Wild Marik, find you there. Awesome. Well, look, man, at Wild Marik, that's the one. Thank you very much for coming on to the show, man, and have a conversation. It's been an absolute blast. Thanks for. I feel inspired even to look into what I can do and how I can do more. So yeah, thanks for having the conversation.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching or listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to find more information on today's guest or more information on the podcast, you can find those details in the description below. Otherwise, I hope and look forward to seeing you in the next one.